Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the final finish on TJ Hunt's RB26 swapped 66 Mustang Fastback. Let's get into today's video. Alright guys, so last time we left off doing a little bit of body work on TJ's Mustang. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw TJ's Mustang already in paint in his video. Now, I didn't really been doing this whole SEMA crunch thing, so I didn't really get a chance to watch the first video. But TJ had brought it to my attention, like, hey guys, don't worry about like what people are saying. I was like, what? Like, kind of clueless to what was happening. And I still didn't go and read all the comments or read any comments, just because I was like, you know, at this point in my life, I don't really need to deal with people's bad vibes and bad energy and comments, stuff like that. Like, there's people literally on their phones just say whatever they want. Regardless, I've digressed. Okay, so SEMA, why do we do this every year? I don't know, but here we are. Here we have a 1965 Mustang that needs a lot of work, but we just finished the undercarriage. This is our second round or third round of blocking on this thing. Jose's doing the roof, I'm doing the trunk. Then we're gonna move on forward. We do have one piece that just came in, which is snug fit rear bumper. We have to body work that, and then we still have to body work the fronts. So that needs to be done, but we're blocking it out. I'm hoping within the next couple days, this thing's ready for a very light coat of primer and wet sand. We're also having G start prepping out the underside of the hood. When I'm done blocking this, we'll take it out. He'll start prepping out the jam and the trunk, and the door jams need to get prepped out as well. I'm hoping to get some paint on this by the end of the week, so let's go. Okay, so we're doing something a little bit different here on the rear end. Instead of doing the factory chrome bumper, we're doing a snug fit rear bumper that is made out of fiberglass. And this is gonna sit right up against the body of the car. But we still have to make it fit. We have to make our own brackets, and we have to make sure that this is pretty much up on par. And we're gonna have to body work this to fit perfectly. That's gonna take a little bit of time that we don't have. We ordered this thing a couple months ago and it just got here. We're gonna finish this while the guys are finishing up the engine bay, but we still have a lot of work to go because this whole back side of the car needed a lot of love. Initially when we got the car, this backside, like the rear panel, was actually welded to the car, which it never came welded, but this one was. Also, this edge was just a little bit too far out, so we had to do a little bit of metal work to get everything to fit exactly how we want to. Now we're gonna make our brackets and get this thing stirred up and do a little bit of body work to make sure this thing fits up perfectly against the rest of the car. You guys can see we got obviously we close up the gap a lot, but you guys can see this is far from perfect. We needed to be like on the money. So luckily this is fiberglass. We can use fiberglass to mold it and get everything perfectly. Like, it needs to be very precise, so it's gonna need a little bit of work, but luckily we have Renee over here. Di que sí, tú di que sí. Sí. Sí, papi. Sí. We're gonna get this thing to sit just right and be able to come off, no problems. We also have we got a new lower valence because the rear one previously was welded and it had the exhaust holes. Now this thing running an RB26 is not utilizing the same hole, so we're running a plain Jane one, and we welded any hole that was on here previously. Okay, so this is what the inside of the bumper looks like. It has these two rods, and that's what's gonna get tightened up from the inside. On top of that, Shorty over here has made these pieces out of fiberglass to have additional mounting points, so we can get these as close as possible. We're also gonna reinforce these as well, because once they're on, you tell them you don't want them to break. Meanwhile, the engine bay is getting a tag team.
Gang bang style.
Gang bang. 3 guys. 3 Mexicans walking a bar.
Hey!
Oh, sorry, one Indian.
One Indian.
Alright, this is what we are with the Mustang rear bumper. This is a short bumper, so it fits right up to the car. As you guys can see, we got all the fiberglass work done and it's looking really good. On the other side, we still have Renee over here with his iCar certification duct tape. But it is 3M. It is 3M. But we're getting this thing fit up. Once we're done with that, we take it off, a little bit of Bondo primer, and we're ready. Meanwhile, we shot another round. This is the fifth time that this thing's been primered, and we're getting ready to get this thing prepped out for water sanding. Okay, so now this rear bumper is pretty much ready to pull off and get this thing into primer. This was quite a task to get it snug on there and fitting with the rear taillight bezels. I mean, this thing's looking really good. This is pretty much the last thing on the chassis, the body, that we would need to take this off and get into primer. Other than that, the doors are pretty much ready. We've already primed the jambs. And now the last thing is getting the hood perfectly straight and everything like that. So we're using the very complicated measure of a paint stick through all the gaps and making everything match up. We already have our hood pins, and these are like a little bit nicer than the standard hood pin, but we're not going through like an arrow catch system because we want to keep it kind of like still in that classic look. So after this, the hood's gonna come off, fender's gonna come off. We're gonna concentrate on getting the engine bay and the whole body in the paint for its first coat. Only 3 weeks left to SEMA. We're in pretty rough shape, but you know, we've done this so many times before. It's nothing new to us. We live it, we breathe it. This is our time. We've been here so many times before. I'm not even scared. I'm a little scared, but I'm gonna tell you guys that I'm not scared, right? So here's what we got going today. We have the engine bay, getting ready to get the final wipe down and sealer. The rest of the body is also gonna get wiped down, get some sealer, and then we'll do any little finessing that we need to. We're gonna shoot our base coat, clear coat. Then the rest of the parts, meanwhile, we'll be getting painted as. Once everything is painted completely, we will assemble the car, okay? Then we're gonna sand it again, wet sand it, put stripes down, and then we're gonna re-clear it again. So it's gonna have double clear. It's gonna give us a little bit more depth. From there, we'll send it back to TJ. He'll put the motor back in, and then we will come back after he's got it going, throw an interior, buff it, assemble it, and get it ready for SEMA. So,
all right, guys. So I wanted to show you the Mustang is in the booth. I'll show you guys that in a second. But big shout out to the Spray Source. They hooked us up with the paint for TJ's Mustang. Really good paint. We also have a lot of different sample books of pre-made stuff that we have here on our rack, which is pretty cool. But they hooked us up with the paint. It looks amazing. We'll show you guys, but let's go check it out, see how TJ's Mustang is doing. All right, so the Mustang is being set up and finished prep in the other booth. Let me show you guys. This Mustang is gonna look really good. As you know, these classic cars take a lot of work to make them right. So this thing has been reblocked, primered, reblocked again, primered again, and now it's getting its mask job, getting everything all masked up. We shot sealer already, and the engine bay is looking super nice. Abraham's taking care of all the little details. You know, we make sure everything's perfect before it goes into paint. Dude, this thing is gonna look amazing. I can't wait for this to be shot. A couple weeks, you know, maybe 3-4 weeks away from SEMA, and this is where it's at. I guess we could say we've been used to this, but we always say we're not gonna do it to ourselves, but we always do. Oscar, he always keeps pushing the envelope more and more, but I'm like, all right, let's just do it, you know. So Richard is gonna get ready to go and get this thing shot, so let's go.
in this grand scheme of things, once the car was actually ready for paint, we got the car fully taken apart. So doors are off, fenders are off, bumpers off, the grill is off, the valence is off, the rear bumper is off, trunk's off, and we painted everything white.
All right, so the Mustang was painted last night. Let's take a look at this thing. Man, this thing came out really good. Look at that gloss on that thing. Richard put in that work. Look at that dripping water. This low-key bringing back vibes from my Mustang when we got this painted, and it's so exciting to see it because you know how much work it took. And man, this thing looks so nice. Oh man, so the guys, today's Sunday, guys. All right, it's Sunday. It's SEMA. You know what it is. So the guys are working right now to get the rest of the parts into the booth so we can get the rest of the stuff painted. So we'll get that stuff loaded up and get that thing painted. But this thing, sheesh.
All the body is painted with its base coat clear coat. We still have a lot of parts to get painted. So let's see what we got going on so far. So over here we have the trunk that's getting painted inside and out. Have the front bumper, I guess, spoiler, whatever you want to call it, doors, fenders, and hood. We sealed everything last night, but now that we're going into our winter months or fall months, definitely got colder than expected, and you know, the optimal temperature is best for painting stuff. And even though we are going to wet sand and then clear them again, we don't want any type of dieback, and that can cause further issues down the line if the paint's not drying fast enough. And going from sealer to base coat to clear coat, there's a lot of material time, so we definitely don't want to risk it. So we're gonna shoot them this morning. So that also gives us one final chance to look at anything. Although everything looks really good, I'm very happy with the way everything is finished. I mean, everywhere has been prepped. Everything looks good. There's the jams. I mean, we're looking good. Everything is looking a-okay. So now we just have to get some base on that, paint it, we'll let them dry overnight, and then tomorrow we'll put this thing together, wet sand it the next day. We're looking good for this weekend for stripes, and it'll be back to TJ for the assembly.
All right, so we have another round of parts for TJ's Mustang Fastback. Richard laid that baby down. Look at that paint. Big shout out to Spray Source for providing the paint, man. This thing's looking really good and glossy. Got all the pieces. Got bumper. Alright guys, so we have the final round of parts for TJ's Mustang. Booth is fully loaded. Jose is locked and loaded. He's gonna start shooting paint on this thing, get this thing looking really good. So let's go.
All right, now that this thing has been fully assembled, let's take a look at this thing. Sheesh, what is going on? You may ask, Oscar, why are you guide coating the car? Why is it wet sanded? Why is this not wet sanded? Before we do the stripes, guys, we are going to sand down the whole car again, 800 grit, to get the stripes down real nice. We're blocking out the clear coat to get another level of straight on this car. We're gonna put the stripes down tomorrow, and then on top of all that, we're gonna clear the whole car again. So by the time we're done clear coating this thing, it will have a lot of clear. It's gonna be really shiny. We're gonna wet sand and buff it again. Not again, but after the whole process is done. So TJ, I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you appreciate the level that we're taking this car to, because it's another one. This one is a lot of work, but team's getting at it. Everyone's exhausted. There's still a lot of work to do, but this thing has to go back to TJ's shop within the next couple days. That gives us 2 days to get the stripe down and send it on its way so they can put the motor back in, get this thing running, and then we will do the interior, buff it, assemble it within a week. Okay, fast forward a couple days since you guys last saw this. I'm gonna show you guys something that you probably usually won't see in our videos. Why? Because we're usually pretty precise. Precision has always been good, and I think where I messed up along the way is that I've always really leaned heavily on my team. And what I do is I say, oh, we got that. Hey, 2 SEMA cars, 3 SEMA cars. How about 4? How about 5? How about 7? How about 7 SEMA cars? And when that happens in a very short amount of time, you take on more than you can handle. And when you do that, you're stretched too thin and you end up with really, really long nights and a lot of extra stuff. And right here, we're in the middle of TJ's 66 Mustang Fastback, and it is been a little bit of a challenge. What I say, Jose?
More than challenge.
More than challenge?
The fucking nightmare.
It's a little bit of a nightmare. And this is something that we've done. I mean, how many Mustangs have we done? We've done a lot of Mustangs, a lot of stripe dropping. We've done this, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I bit off a lot more than we could chew this year. The confidence of the team, and I'm not saying that the team can't handle it. We're doing it still. It's not even just this. We have so many more cars on top of this that need to get done, and I think we're kind of like losing our focus a little bit. Me specifically, because I'm trying to, on top of the SEMA cars, on top of all this, I'm trying to run a full-on business that we're doing just regular collision repairs, standard upholstery repairs, everything like that. So I'm just blabbing on right now. Right here we have some of the base down over the stripe. So now what we're gonna try to do is unmask this. So we've already shot the whole car in base coat. So this thing has officially been peeled off. Lines are pretty clean. There's a couple little imperfections that I'm gonna have to go over with like a touch-up brush, and I gotta take off some of this little overspray here. But so far, everything else is good to go. Now, we have had a couple small problem areas. You know, where when you're aiming for perfection, this stuff, it just takes time. So we're just going over every little area, any little bleed through spots and stuff like that. Jose's going over that. Abraham's masking up the rest of the car, and I think we should be golden. I'm hoping that we clear this thing tonight, because keep in mind, this thing still needs a full powertrain, okay, which is not on, and it needs a full custom leather interior by SOS Customz too. But they need to get it running again before that could happen. So yeah, we got a little bit of work cut out for us, and this thing needs to be center stage in 3 weeks.
All right, guys, good morning. The guys stayed up late. We had to correct some stuff on TJ's car, but I assure you, the wait was worth it. Sheesh! Dude, this thing looks ridiculous. It looks so good. The Wilmington white with the green really complements this and makes it just look like almost like a elegant racing class look, you know what I mean? I bet you this is gonna turn heads, because we were gonna be like, what? That GT RB26? But this thing, I couldn't be happier. The guys, everybody here at the team has been staying up late, long nights, and just, I really appreciate the guys for taking the time. Like I said, this means more than just, you know, it's a family, and for us to come together to get these cars out and put all our work into it and have this outcome is phenomenal. So I'm really big shout out to the SOS crew. But this thing is looking sexy. So we're gonna let this thing dry. We can put the wheels on it and continue with the assembly. But man, TJ, you're in for a treat right here, baby. Oh yeah. We're gonna have to protect this front end because when I race you, I'm gonna maybe throw some rock chips, and I don't want to rock chip the paint. So, just say. Tony.
Hey.
¿Cómo se mira el calecín?
Se mira de aquellas.
Ay, papá, mira. ¿Cómo te gusta el color?
Está bien. Se me hace.
¿La combinación?
Sí.
¿Carpetazo?
Capotazo.
Good job, man.
Sí. Once everything was painted white, we let it dry and then we reassembled everything. So huge shout out to the Spray Source for supplying everything that we needed for this car, from the primer, sealer, base coat, clear coat. If you guys want to match this color exactly, hit up the Spray Source and they'll get you exactly what you need so you can literally replicate this exact same car. But after everything was painted in a base coat, clear coat white, and the Wimbledon white, the car was then assembled, because what we didn't want is like harsh clear coat lines like on the jambs and on the doors and stuff like that. So once everything was assembled, we wet sand the whole car, right? We wet sand the whole car and we threw our initial green stripe down. And when you're doing these type of stripes, everything needs to align. So the hood, the bumper, the valence, the trunk, the rear bumper, the lower valence, rear valence, everything needs to be aligned in order for it to match up. We shot the green, and then we cleared it. Now, had we had all the time in the world, the car, when it was at TJ's, it wasn't finished. It was in this type of a paint process. It's a very long paint process, but due to timing and stuff like that, we had shipped the car back to TJ. He got the engine installed, got it running record time.
You're gonna have to get a little fatty.
So now we're back at the Chach quarters. King Chach himself.
I'm your saving grace. Go ahead, tell him that. Tell him that.
My mijo here is the only thing that's been making my life a little bit easier.
Favorito mijo.
Dude, seriously, I just dropped the car out, what 2 days ago?
We started yesterday.
Okay, you started yesterday. And look at it. Motor's in there. Car should be fired up today.
Yeah, for sure.
And we get it back tomorrow.
Yep.
You're the best.
Yeah, Oscar's like, I'm in Australia, so Oscar has so many cars to do. And this was supposed to be dropped off 10 days prior.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, all right, give us like a week to do it. Give us a week and some time. And then he's like, oh, a couple days. Oh, a week. Okay, following. And I was like, Oscar, don't trip. If like you can give it to us whenever, and I can have it back to you probably like 48 hours. He was like, that would be so helpful. I'm like, dude, we got it. And here we go. It's obviously not me. I'm not even a mechanic, but I'm the shittiest person helping with all these cars. But we have such a solid team here. I have Mark in here. He's like doing a special guest for us. He's the one who like built this car. Like we have so many things going on, and I was so confident, and I'm stoked that we can deliver this back, because this car, I wasn't that excited about it. I think I was telling Oscar's like calling me every day. Hey, we going to do this? And I'm like, Oscar, I don't care. Just like choose from me.
TJ always does that though. He's like, whatever, choose. I'm like, no.
Well, my thought process is I think I've built and made decisions on a lot of cars that look good, but Oscar trumps that, and the whole SOS team trumps that. So I trust their judgment more than my own. So I was like, just do it. I know it will look good, and yeah, I mean, dude, look at the bay. The bay is probably, this is my favorite bay. I think I like this more than the R34 GTR bay, and that's my favorite car. This car was not the highest on my list of cars that I own, but I think after all of this, and just wait till we do the interior, it's the coolest thing. I'm so excited. My energy doesn't show because we're all fucking dead tired.
Yeah.
It's 2 weeks before SEMA, but this thing is it just, the red valve cover on the cream bay with the accents, it just looks so proper.
Yeah, that's looking good.
I'm really hyped on it.
I gotta get back to the shop, but you guys are killing it. Hopefully tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
All right.
Tomorrow.
Good job, brother. Hey, Mark. Thank you, brother. You guys are saving it here. TJ really needed the car back, and then I needed the car back too. So I was like, man, we'll just clear it. So when we cleared it, you may have seen some overspray or whatever you may have seen in the video. Again, I didn't really watch it or whatever like that in TJ's video. So it might have been like, oh, dude, this is how they left the car. Like, obviously the car was not done. And the main reason that the car is not done is that when you shoot that initial stripe, you can feel the line. And what we didn't want is for you to be able to tell that wanted to be all one product. So TJ finished doing the swap, got the car back over here. Then it was really up to us, because this is literally the weekend before the last weekend of SEMA, I believe, or something like that, something along those lines. We wet sand the whole car again, the whole thing, everything, and then we did any of our cleaning, took care of any of the overspray, and then we re-clear coated the whole car. Now you could not feel the line, and everything was looking super smooth, like straight out the gun, everything looked good. But we didn't stop there. Once the clear dried a couple days, Saul Juan got down to all the interior, and that was also done in a record time. Now it's time to get into the interior. We got about a week to go on this thing, so let's check out what we're gonna do exactly, because we don't really know. I don't have it all thought out yet. This is the creative juices just need to start flowing. So let's talk about it. Here's what we do know. Leather. So what we got here is some distressed leather from the Hide House. And we've been using this leather. I know. Once you smell it, it's like... Woo!
Smells like best I could think if you know you're Mexican, a zapateria. When you walk into a zapateria, it's like a shoe store, like leather, like you just,
or just like a leather store, like, you know, you just go into leather and it just smells.
Just hits you right in the face.
It hits you. So this will be what's gonna be on the bolster. So we know that. And then, you know, TJ, he's been in his Porsche boy mode.
Yeah, he's liking that houndstooth.
So we got a little bit of houndstooth. This is, or what they call the Porsche Pepita fabric.
Pepita. If you know what Pepita is, you know.
This is the combination that we're gonna be rocking. The houndstooth in the middle to go with the green and the cream, and then we're gonna run that. It's definitely a different color choice, but I think it's gonna look really good.
All right, guys, so we started on the upholstery for TJ's Mustang. I wanted to show you guys, this is the factory seat, I said you would say, right? And we're adding these foam kits to this to make it more like a bolstered seat. So it's gonna have it's gonna be different geometry of the upholstery, because as you can see, that versus that is different. It's gonna be more raised. Let's see, more rigid bolsters. So everything we're doing is we're getting patterns off of it. So basically, it's a little bit more work, but it's something that's more custom compared to like having something to go off of. We're actually tailoring the upholstery to fit specifically to this foam pattern. So even if we were to modify this foam, you know, to fit, we can make the new pattern and make the new piece of upholstery, which we're doing now. So we have a couple pieces cut out for the leather. We have that piece there. We're gonna continue and get this thing sewn up to show you guys the look of the seats. We actually already been working on the console itself, so we got that wrap and it's looking really good. So we'll continue with this thing. That whiskey outlaw leather, baby. Come on, let's go. You can see it came out really good with the papita in the middle and the leather. Obviously this is not on, this is just to kind of get a little fitment. I still have to put all the hog rings to kind of get everything, but it's taking shape. I think that's the shot right there. We'll continue sewing the rest of it, but man, that looks really good. So Alright, another piece that we have is the dash. We took the dash off the car. It's obviously just factory black. This was already aftermarket, but we're gonna be wrapping it in the same whiskey leather. We're gonna be throwing some maybe like a French stitch here, kind of go around so it can curve. We also put a little bit of carbon because these are really flimsy, so this will kind of add some rigidity to it. But man, it's gonna look really good with this leather on there. I think that's the next step because we still have to paint the rest of it. It's Tuesday. We still got a lot. Right, Juanito? ¿Toda la noche cómo está?
Toda la noche. De aquí hasta el jueves, todo el día, 24 horas al día.
Ay, papá. Ni te la crees. Alright, so we got the dash wrapped up in this whiskey outlaw leather, man. It looks so good. So we're gonna get this put in the car so we can continue putting stuff together, because today's Tuesday and the car still looks like that. Yes, nothing in it. So, yeah. Alright guys, so we're working on the Mustang. We're doing the back seat area for the Mustang. On mine, I kind of kept it original. It's a folding back seat, and as it folds, it's just like a straight little shot. You can put stuff back there. It's kind of open to the trunk. And normally it has carpet. So that's the piece. The carpet goes there. The carpet goes on this piece. You catch my drift. But, I mean, we couldn't leave it just plain old carpet. So I think we have a couple hides left of the leather still. So how about we cut these panels out in leather. We already have this folding piece, so when this lays down completely laid out on the back, this will all be nice leather. You can put your stuff, everything back there. I think it'll be a nice added touch, and it just gives that fresh smell of leather. So let's cut the pieces out. On the 1 and 2, sanding this thing flat. Do you have to give it that hot tool as well, or
no,
can I get the lubrication going? Or?
I'll let Sam give it the hot tool.
Sam does the hot tool?
Yeah.
Wait, because he's too old, it's kind of dried up, or what are you trying to say?
Well, I got to fast use for it, bitch.
That's why he has those yogurt balls. It gives him some saliva.
Give him some saliva so he has that hot tool?
Yeah.
Where's the stop? There's a stop on it. Fuck, where's the stop go? Just drop it straight in. Alright. Watch that corner.
Alright guys, so now as we're seeing, we've been progressing through the interior. One thing I wanted to show you guys, normally these the Mustangs have, there's either two types, the flat panel, which is like the standard interior, or they have the deluxe like pony interior, which are these pretty cool kind of molded more 3D door panels. They have different pistol grip handles here, a little bit of different, more like a classier interior that goes into it. But obviously, you know, we bought the panels, but we're modifying them to match the interior that we're running, which with the new whiskey leather that we're putting on this. So in order to get the same design, we have to throw some stitching on it. So as you can see, kind of stitch this up. That's gonna pull around there, and then we're gonna glue that portion in there. This will create this insert that we have here, and this insert is gonna be the pepita material, which is the houndstooth, so that it flows with the door panel that we're going. So let's start putting some glue in so we can load up the leather piece, and then we can start putting it together and put the chrome accents that go on the door panels.
want to give a huge shout out to the Hide House for providing all the leather for this project. Literally my favorite leather to work with. It's so smooth. The distressed line from them through the Outlaw it's my favorite. I'm probably gonna build my old school Bronco with everything from them, and we use that leather specifically to do all of Max Slider Bros custom interiors. Like that's all we use for them. It's been something that we use a lot. So when TJ saw it here at our shop, he's like, I really like that, and I was like, okay, cool. But then we also threw in some houndstooth to kind of incorporate some of the Porsche vibes in there. So I think the interior went really well. After the interior was fully installed, we're still in the middle of installing everything as far as like the handles, everything like rubber, stuff like that. Huge shout out to Dapper Lighting for sending us out a set of OEM style glass LED headlights, which I feel like we're still within the vibes that TJ wanted, like, cause he really didn't want to give his 2 cents in this one. He kind of said, Oscar, you do it, and I was like, TJ, just pick. I don't, what if you don't like it? He's like, I trust you, and I'm like, I hate that, but it's like, okay. So I know he said he didn't want it to look like super custom, super aftermarket, so they were able to provide us a light that looked OEM, but it still had the aftermarket capabilities. So that was good. Finished assembling everything, and then from there we had to buff this thing. So we still wanted to wet sand this thing. We wet sanded it from 2000, which, because the car wasn't really orange peely, some areas to kind of get that line down, we went 1500, 2000, 3000, and then we did a full polish with McGuire's products, and it came out amazing. It's a lot of work though. Huge shout out to H1 for getting it done. He just stuck his guns on that car and got it done. And huge shout out to everybody that helped out on this build at the shop here. It was definitely one for the books. Me and Saul owning Mustangs is like kind of like, yeah, it's finally time that TJ got a nice classic. And I was actually with TJ when we went to go pick up this car, so it's cool that it's had a couple lives now, just as a stock Mustang to just like the race car with the old fucked up paint, and now as pretty much a full-fledged show car now. Car's not, like, I would say 100% done. There's still a couple little odds and ends that could get finished. One is like, for me, is like the steering wheel. Secondly is like, I'm not a big fan of the wheels, TJ, sorry. I know they're HREs, but I don't know. It needs something else. Like, those are cool rollers for now, but I feel like the wheel setup could be a little bit better, but that's just me. And maybe the audio, we still have to maybe do something there, but other than that, the car is beautiful. It's like a race car, but it's classic with a nice leather interior. It's just, I think it's the best of all worlds. And the fact that TJ was able to pull the motor out and put it back in so fast, it's like, this car is just dialed in. And the guys made passes on it. Like, he's actually taking it to the track and raced it and stuff like that. And the car gets it. So it's probably one of my favorite cars that we've done for TJ, because one, of the pedigree of the classic Fastback Mustang. Two, you incorporate the RB26 in there with a nice big single on there, and then just the color schemes. I know TJ loves that British racing green. It went a little bit different. This is called the Irish green, but we went with the Wimbledon white, which is an ode to the factory Ford color, and just the little details like the RB26 GT on the side, like a bunch of like little things that I think made the car look really good and real special, man. So it was definitely one for the books, man. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. We got a couple more builds here for SEMA, and I want you guys to check them all out. Let me know what you guys think, but drop some comments. Let me know what you guys thought about this build. You know, everything from the paint color, engine swap, interior, with the wheels, and what TJ maybe should get. Anything, man. I just want to open that dialogue with you guys. I really appreciate all you guys for just sticking with us and watching the channel. It really means a lot that we have this community, that you guys see everything what's going on, like behind the scenes, behind people like TJ, people like Throttle and stuff like that, and everything that goes down here. It's a blessing to have you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Your SOS Customz, we got you covered. Peace.